Ooh, do 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 do. Ah, da da da. Ya da 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 da. Ooh, ding ding da dang. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Hopefully, you can all see me and hear me okay. Can I get some clarification on that for everybody that can see and hear me? If you want to throw it over here in the chat, let me know, and we will get started. Let's see. Anybody? Yes, you can hear me? Can you hear me? All good here? Yes, sir. All right. Yup, yes, all good. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to my random post PCT a month later Q&A and discussion and chat. So, as most of you know, probably, I have been off of the Continental Divide Trail now for a month. Let's see, I finished on the 24th or the 25th. So just the other day, I hit a month of being off the trail. And I am obviously back in Flagstaff, back in my office and studio here at Outdoor Evolution in downtown Flagstaff, and doing pretty good. I have been trying to get to my CDT videos, but I am, oh, somebody said I'm kind of low. Let's see. See if I can come up for you a little bit there. Is that better? Can you hear me a little bit better? Did I come up in volume a little bit? Can somebody let me know? Yes? Maybe? Somebody said gear, and some gear. Somebody said can't hear anything. Wow. That's not good. Apparently everyone else can hear me, so it might be something wrong with your computer. Anyways, here, I'll turn my volume up just a little more. Make sure that everybody can hear me decently. Hopefully that's good. Everybody said, yeah, good. All right, so I have been slowly working on my CDT videos, and that's something I do want to talk about today for everyone that has been waiting ever so patiently. But I'm not gonna lie, it has been really nice not making YouTube videos, not working on hiking media. I think in my post on Instagram and here on YouTube, I said that I've been taking a mental break from hiking. Whenever you spend almost 4 months walking almost 3,000 miles from the border of one country to another, you know, you kind of want a little bit of a mental break. And in the past, somebody said that they can only hear in one earbud. Am I only coming through in one earbud? That's weird. I don't know why. I don't know why I'd only be coming through. I can see where I'm only coming through in one earbud. Let's see. Hold on. I think I can fix it. I think I can fix it. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe not. I should be able to turn that on. Hold on, guys. A little bit of technical difficulties here. Yeah, somebody said mono only in left. What is going on there? Let's see. Does that fix anything? Well, dang, guys. Sorry about that. Let's see, that's not helping at all. Well, apparently I am only in your left ear, so, my bad. Yeah, everything's plugged in, right? Don't know what's going on with that. No problems with my earbuds. It's all good. We can still hear you. Well, sorry about that, guys. Apparently, I am only coming through in one side. So we want to hear you in stereo. I don't know why I'm not coming through. Why am I not coming through? I'm not coming through at all, apparently. Somebody said it's okay, the Beatles were better in mono. I agree with that, 100%. Let's see. Hold on, guys. Give me just a second. Bear with me here for a second. Bear with me. Let's see, left, input. Yep, that's all good. So anyways, while I'm trying to fix this and talk at the same time, it has been, it's been nice. It's been really nice to take a break. You know, my original plan was to put out videos on the CDT while I was hiking, but as most of you would probably guess, that takes a lot of work. It takes a whole lot of work to be able to actually edit videos and film videos and through hike 20 to 30 miles a day, and to do all of that and still be able to publish them and have you know, enough Wi-Fi or service to be able to get those up on YouTube and making thumbnails and everything that comes with that. And for this hike on the CDT, I really just kind of wanted to enjoy myself as much as possible, really wanted to be in the moment. You know, when I did the PCT, I did have somebody that was helping me edit my videos, so I did have help with that. Every other through hike that I've done, you know, a lot of the other through hikes that I've done have been smaller trails. So most of the time, I actually wait until I get back off the trail to edit my videos. So with that being said, it was a lot of work for one person to film, to hike, to edit, to publish, to do all of that. Now, there are definitely some people out there that do that, and you know, good on them. That being said, not exactly what I wanted to do for this hike. So I decided to set that out, and then the plan was to kind of do these weekly updated videos, or every other week on YouTube. I put out a couple of them, and then obviously, again, I got really wrapped up in the hike, so that ended up not happening. Yeah, guys, I cannot figure out why I'm only coming through in mono. I guess that you guys are just gonna have to deal with that. Strangely enough, I cannot figure that out. So, I decided to wait until I got off because I didn't want to just do a vlog. I didn't want to do what a lot of other people do, which again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not really my style. I'm a little bit more of a storyteller, like making a little bit more film type videos. And for the CDT, I really wanted to kind of look back over the last 6 years, do some interviews with people, kind of talk about some other hikes that I had done leading up to that. You know, I'd spent time on the CDT back in 2017, so I really wanted to kind of do flashbacks and archival stuff. If anybody watched my AT videos from last year, my small handful of AT videos, I was only out there for 8 days, but if you got a chance to see those, I did a lot of documentary style things in it, right? I did a lot of voiceover, and I showed a lot of photos from back in 2015 since I was revisiting the trail 5 years later, and I wanted to do that with the CDT. So with that being said, it takes a lot more time, in the edit than just kind of filming myself talk and walk and uploading it real quick. Not really my style. So I decided to wait on that. Well, when I got off of the trail and I got back here to Flagstaff, I have just been absolutely mentally just tired, completely pooped out from doing that hike. And as most of you, some of you probably know, and I've talked about it in the past, and probably a lot of you don't know, I do own a production company, a media and production company called Outdoor Evolution, which is where I'm sitting right now. Something that has happened, I opened it about 2 years ago. So not only am I doing YouTube content and a podcast and everything else that I do, I also have a full-time job, if not more than a full-time job, because I am a business owner. So with that being said, sometimes it gets down to the point of like, well, I need to either work on this project that I'm doing or make a YouTube video, right? And after spending 6 years making almost 400 videos, sometimes that decision is pretty easy of like, well, this is gonna kind of outweigh making that YouTube video. Not that I don't like doing it. You know, I love making videos for you guys, but after 6 years of making the same videos, you tend to get sometimes burnt out on that. So with that being said, that is why. Oh, a super chat from Shan McVie, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, with that being said, that catches you up to speed of why I haven't put my videos yet out. I am still working on that. And today I wanted to do something that I didn't think that I was gonna do. I thought I was gonna put these CDT videos out right when I got off the trail, but since it is taking me some time and I am currently working on some other projects, like a film project, right now a film series called Public, I figured I would take a little bit of time today to do a live Q&A and just answer some random questions. So if you got the title of the video is Post CDT Hike, Gear and Mental Health. So I'm gonna break this video down in kind of those three things. First, I'm gonna answer a bunch of different questions about my hike in specific. Then I wanna talk about some gear, and I have some props here. I definitely have some stuff that I brought in to talk about so I can answer some random questions that you guys might have on gear. And then I kind of want to talk about the whole mental health aspect of doing something like a through hike for that long and then getting off the trail and kind of what you go through and what I have been going through lately, something to touch on. I actually got a really great comment from somebody yesterday on the community tab that was perfect for what I kind of wanted to talk about today. Someone talking about how, spending too much time on social media, YouTube, Instagram, stuff like that can be toxic, right? Something that I've definitely dealt with in the last year, and anybody that makes media that says that they haven't dealt with that, a toxic part of that, is totally lying to themselves or lying to you. It's kind of just a part of being on social media, especially when you're a creator, whether that is a YouTube creator, Instagram influencer, or whatever it is. So I do want to touch on that today. So I'm just gonna randomly grab some questions from over here in the chat box. I really wish I could fix that audio for you guys. I owned a recording studio for 2 years, so I'm a big stickler when it comes to audio. So that really, that just really upsets me that no good audio is coming through. I don't know why. I don't know what's with that. Yeah, I do not know, folks. That one has got me pretty perplexed. So let's see. See what we got here. All right. So, what questions we got? A lot of questions. So this is kind of a fun one just to kind of start off with. Somebody asked, Tierra Rojo asked, do you like the PCT or CDT better? So over the years, I hate giving specific answers to like what trail is better, because people are always like, well, which is your favorite trail? And I've always said that, I hike all of these trails and I do all of these things for different reasons, right? I have you in both ears. Oh, somebody said they have, Tierra said they have me in both ears. Well, hopefully I'm coming through now. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, sorry, I'm getting off topic. People always ask me which trail is better, which trail I like better. Personally, I enjoyed the PCT a little bit better, and I'll break that down here in a minute why. For me, everybody does long distance hiking or backpacking or day hiking for different reasons. The big reason for me behind through hiking, I've always loved the community. I've always loved the trail towns and taking a 0 day and hanging out with people and meeting new people out on the trail. And obviously there's a lot more of that on the PCT versus the CDT. So that's kind of one thing that I like about the PCT more. And one of the reasons in general why I like the AT, I guess more than both of them, because I love that community aspect of through hiking. It's a big part of it for me. That being said, when I hiked the PCT, I hiked it for the challenge. I really wanted to see how far I could push myself, and I wanted to see, what my limits were. I wanted to hike through super high elevation like the Sierra. I wanted there to be snow in the Sierra. I wanted it to be tough. I wanted to push my limits, and I also wanted to hike it in a fast pace. So that's really what the CDT was for me. The PCT was for me. The AT was more of kind of that, having that communal, put myself in more of a community and meeting new people and having a new experience. And the CDT was just kind of this, I don't know. I went out there, I think, because I wanted the challenge, right? I wanted to see, everybody talks about how brutal it is and how tough it was, so I wanted to find out for myself. I wanted to mark it off the list, obviously. And for years, I've kind of had this thing where I've kind of fought with the idea of doing the CDT because it never really seemed like my type of trail, right? It never really seemed like it was really up my alley of what I was looking for in a through hike. And to be fair, I think that I found that that was true. It wasn't really my favorite hike. And if you've listened to my podcast or a couple other things that I've talked about since getting off the trail, even when I was on the trail, you'll know that I wasn't a giant fan of the CDT for that reason. I didn't really get what I enjoy from through hiking out of it. It was definitely a challenge. It probably challenged me more mentally than any other trail has ever challenged me. And for reasons I'll go over here when we get to the mental health aspect of this. But with that being said, I also wanted to, the reason I didn't put out YouTube videos, the reason I didn't vlog every single day and I didn't put out a video every week is I wanted to spend more time in the moment with people. And on the CDT, that's really hard. Now, there are definitely other people out there. I hiked with other people. I was lucky enough to start with some friends. So my friend Geared Up came out and started with me. My buddy Juice from the Colorado Trail last year, he came out and hiked with me. And then my buddy Jonathan, or Meow, he came out and hiked with me as well. So I got that. I hiked with basically the same couple people throughout the entire trail. But I just wanted a little more community. I wanted a little more in the moment connection with people, and it's something I didn't get. So in general, do I like the PCT or CDT better? I would say if I had to, here you go, I'll give you this. If I had to do one or the other again, if I could only do one and I had to either do the CDT or the PCT again, I would rather do the PCT over the CDT. So hopefully that answers your question. Really long-winded answer, but someone's asking about trail shoes. I will get to that in the gear section. This section, I just really want to answer some questions specifically about the trail and about my hike. Yeah, someone said it. Justin, hey, Mr. Justin Helmkamp is here. We recently dropped a podcast over on the Outdoor Evolution podcast where Justin and I sat down and had a whole conversation about post-trail depression or post-adventure blues, as it's called, or as he put it, would you say post-adventure bummers, post-hike bummers? We had a whole discussion about that, and he also hiked the CDT this year. He went northbound, I went southbound, so we kind of compared there's a little bit of conversation there where we compared our hikes, his experience versus mine experience, and he said the PCT is a postcard, the CDT is freedom. That's a perfect way to put it. Let's see. There's another, it could be a YouTube thing. Oh, someone said the audio thing might be a YouTube thing. Still left ear, why Sobo? Why Southbound? So I've gotten a couple of those. Kimberly Penny said why South, and then said why Sobo, and I've had a lot of questions about that. For me, over the years, I've known a lot of different people that have hiked the CDT. Anyone that I've ever known that has done a through hike going northbound has run into a lot of logistical problems. So whenever you start out, the months that you kind of need to start out, you want to start in a certain amount of time so you get out of New Mexico and out of the desert before it gets too hot. But the problem that you run into is as soon as you get to Cumbres Pass, which is right there at the New Mexico-Colorado border, there's still a ton of snow in the San Juan Mountains from the winter, right? So even though you start in the spring, there's still a lot of snow there. And a lot of people, and I'm sure Justin can definitely speak on this, have to flip. So a lot of people have to break up their kind of end-to-end straight through hike and then flip up and then kind of do a flip-flop where they're kind of hopping around on the trail. And same this year. I met a ton of northbounders that had to flip their hike around. I actually ended up hiking with what started as a northbounder, a buddy of mine named Rad. He started as a northbound hike, got to Cumbres Pass, had to flip. I met him up in Glacier, hiked with him through Wyoming, and then he was kind of flipping all around. Anyone I've ever known that has northbounded it, I'll take that back. 9 out of the 10 people I know that have northbounded it have had to logistically shuffle around their hike. Anyone that I've ever known that has southbounded the hike basically got to hike all the way through, no problems. So that was the main reason I wanted to go southbound. The other reason is I did the AT northbound, I did the PCT northbound, so I was like, well, if I'm going to do the CDT, let's switch it up and I'll hike south. And then the last reason is because I used to live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and all of 2016 and 2017, I spent a lot of time hiking the CDT through New Mexico. So if you look back on my channel from years ago, I think back in 2017, I have CDT videos. I didn't through hike the whole trail, but I would go out on weekends and I would section hike parts of New Mexico because it was basically in my backyard. So that ended up being another big reason why I decided to go southbound, because I went northbound through all those sections of New Mexico, and I knew that when I finished the trail, I just kind of wanted to experience the trail differently. So hence going southbound. So that would be the other reason. Let's see. I'm gonna look at something here real quick. Yeah, it still says that I'm stereo. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know why I'm still not coming through correctly. Oh well. Oh, did I get real loud? I feel like I got real loud. Did anybody get an extra? It's nice to see someone sobo a trail. Yeah, you know, that's the other reason, right? Is there were so many people northbounding this year. I was like, well, I'll swap it up. I'll switch it out, and I will do a hike going the other way. Can anyone let me know, did I just get really loud? I feel like I just got really loud for some reason. Are there two of me now? Somebody said nope. What kind of coffee are you drinking? Disconnect your mic and reconnect it. I could disconnect my mic. Bear with me for a second, folks. Let's see if that works. Am I still mono? I think I'm still mono. I think that I'm still mono, guys. Something we're just gonna have to deal with. Sorry, I went from left side to stereo. You're kind of tinny? I'm tinny. Somebody said no, not louder. Audio only in one ear. No, not loud. No, there is a tinny echo. Huh. That's so bizarre. Well, I don't know what to do about that. Hopefully that fixed it. Hopefully you guys can just deal with that. I apologize. Somebody said sound is fine in New Hampshire. You think it's probably people are saying it's fine where they're at, it's bad where they're at. Can still barely hear. Let's turn it up a little bit. How about that? A little bit better? Sorry, guys. Damn. So what happens? You have technical difficulties. See? This is why I don't put anything on YouTube anymore, because every time I put it on YouTube, I have technical difficulties. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? What other questions do we have? Don't worry about the mono, man. Let's see. It's all good. Well, good. What month is a good month for starting a southbound on the CDT? Well, the only reference point that I have is I started in July, so I would say July is a good month for starting. And I think most people started in early July. Some people started in late June, but I know that some people still had a little snow in some of the higher peaks in Montana and Wyoming. So starting in July was kind of a perfect month. The only thing that kind of sucked was we did have some fires in Idaho that kind of, it smoked out the whole, so if you look at a map of the CDT, it comes down from Canada, and then right before it hits Yellowstone, right before it enters Wyoming and Montana, Butte, Montana, it kind of heads west a little bit and then comes back and then enters Yellowstone and Wyoming from the west side of the state. So we had a bunch of fires in Idaho that really smoked it out. And by the time I got to Butte, it was really hard to breathe. So there is an alternate called the Big Sky Alternate, that instead of going west into Idaho, you go straight down into Wyoming, essentially cutting off Idaho. So that's the way that we took. I would say about 99% of the Southbounders out there this year, maybe 98%, took the Big Sky Alternate. And it was just because the fires were bad. It was because of mainly because of the smoke. You could still go into Idaho and then do a different alternate to kind of get around it, but it was a massive highway walk. So we chose to do the Big Sky Alternate, which took us through the Tobacco Root Wilderness and kind of down into that area. So where was I going with that? So that, if I would have started a little bit earlier, maybe I would have started in late June. I probably would have gotten through that section before the fires really started and kicked up, because I know some Southbounders that did get through there before the fire got bad and the smoke got bad. But no regrets. I was really happy that I did it the way that I did it. Oh, there was a super chat from Off Grid. Real quick. Off Grid says, huge congrats on the Triple Crown. Thank you. What's next after the trip vids? How do you feel about doing the Triple Crown in your own time without the pressure? Without the pressure, I don't know what you mean by that. There's actually no pressure. I hiked the AT in 15 and 16. I did the PCT in 18, and then I did the CDT in 2021. So there was no pressure at all. I didn't feel any pressure doing it. I just kind of wanted to wait doing it. But thank you so much for the super chat, and thanks for the Triple Crown thing. As I've said in the past, the Triple Crown doesn't really mean much to me, hasn't meant much to me. I don't do things for labels. I don't do things for the t-shirt or the medal. So, but I do appreciate it. Thank you. I honestly haven't even really given it any thought that I am a quote-unquote Triple Crowner. So if that means anything to you, yeah. All right, let's see. What else we got here? Another super chat from Kimberly Penny. Thank you so much, Kimberly. I appreciate it. Appreciate that. Let's see. Somebody asked favorite people's moment on the PCT and favorite nature moment of the trail. I'd say that my favorite people's moment, let me come back to that. I'll get back on that because I got to really think about that. Again, I didn't spend a whole lot of time with a lot of people. But I can tell you that some of my favorite nature moment, I guess, was really any time that I spent going through the Winds. The Wind River Range was absolutely amazing. That section of the trail completely blew my mind. It was gorgeous. The Knapsack Col in particular, it's a pass called Knapsack Col. It's actually an alternate that's in the Winds, which everybody does. Like the official or the red route, the CDT is like, it's hard to call something official or the trail because there's so many different ones. Keyboard screen in the way. I don't know what that means. The official route or the red route, if you're using Gut Hook, it doesn't actually go through all the beautiful parts. So when you see someone do the CDT and you see the amazing, beautiful sections of the Wind River Range, that is not the technical official route. That is an alternate. So typically what you're seeing is Cirque of the Towers, you're seeing Knapsack Col, these amazing alternates that are a part of the CDT. The CDT is full of alternates all up and down the trail, and it's really a choose your own adventure. Tons of people say that and reference that, but in the grand scheme of things, it's true. It really is a choose your own adventure. So with that being said, that was probably my favorite section of the entire trail. Probably my favorite nature moment was coming up onto Knapsack Col, getting to the top of Knapsack Col and just seeing this amazing spread. I posted actually there's a thumbnail on my channel when I did an update, that photo of me and that beautiful big mountainscape in the background, big granite mountains with snow on them, and then I'm standing over to the side. That's Knapsack Col, that's at the top. I posted some photos over on Instagram of it as well, and eventually you'll see the video of it. But that was definitely my favorite nature moment. And I don't know, I'd say my favorite people moment was really anybody that I met out on the trail. You know, I had a really good experience with the people I did hike with and that I did end up kind of making a connection with. there were definitely some bad apples out there. Some people that were trying to be jerks and, talk crap and make the hike, make it more about drama than anything else, which I don't really track with. But aside from that, I mean, 99.9% of the people that I met out there, the experiences that I had with people were great. There's definitely a different vibe on the CDT with people. You'll hear people talk about on the AT, it's very much of like a party atmosphere, which I don't really believe that. I think it's more of a community atmosphere. Everybody rolls in these big groups of people, in these big packs of people. They like to take multiple zeros and everybody hangs out and goes for bike rides in town or goes to see a movie. The PCT is a little more, everybody kind of hikes together throughout the day and then kind of camps alone at night, and it's kind of a mix. And then the CDT, it seemed like everybody was really out there for this one set goal in mind. They knew that it was tough. They knew that they were going to hike through there. Now that's obviously, I'm just generalizing. There are definitely people out there that hiked in bigger groups. I mainly hiked with one other person the entire trail. And aside from that, yeah, all the experiences that I had, like I said, 99.9% of the experiences I had with other people was great. Hike to Change got a super chat. Thank you so much. Says, were you fueled by couscous like on the PCT, or did you eat differently this time? I ate a lot of couscous. I did. So I ended up cold soaking. From Canada all the way to Grants, New Mexico. So I only had 455 miles left of the trail, and then I swapped out my cold soaking jar for a stove. So for that last 455 miles, I just kind of wanted a change. I wanted to change it up, do something different. I had cold soaked for so long, eating the same stuff. I just kind of wanted that last 455 miles to do something different. By that point, you're really bored. It's mundane. You're ready to be off the trail. So just to swap things out, I switched to a stove. So yeah, I went through all the higher elevation, through the higher mountains, up north, cold soaking, and then I got my stove while I was in the desert. So, but yes, I ate a lot of couscous, cold soaked or cooked. So yeah. Thank you for the super chat, Hike to Change. I appreciate that. Someone said I just had a crazy burp. Right on. Someone said, oh, give us the drama. Nah, it's not worth it. People like that are totally a waste of time. If you're out on the trail and you are judging other people and you are making up rumors about other people, no matter who they are, or judging them for their gear or how many miles they hiked, you really need to get a new hobby. You really need to look at yourself and ask yourself what you're doing in life, because that's pretty sad. And hopefully those people are watching this and they know who they are. Someone said, did you have to stop at all to rest any injuries? Not really. So in the beginning of the trail, I had started with a certain shoe. I knew I was going to be doing some road walking. So I swapped to another shoe that had a little more cush, and it gave me some pretty bad heel blisters. I ended up getting rid of those and going back to my shoe. I think I took a 0 because my heels hurt pretty bad. I had to drain all the blisters and mend those and everything that you do with blisters. And then aside from that, I had a bit of a sciatic nerve problem when I was going through the San Juans. Something I've kind of dealt with a little off and on over the years. Right here in my right side, a little bit of a nerve problem, and that flared up while I was in the San Juan, so I dealt with that. I didn't really take a lot of time off. A couple zeros, and then when I got to Grants, New Mexico, for anybody that followed me on Instagram and stuff, I actually got off of the trail for 6 days, and I went out to be the keynote speaker at the ALDA gathering. Actually, I have an ALDA mug right now. So I took 6 days off, and that's right at the height of when my sciatica was really bad. So that definitely helped heal it up. Aside from that, though, no, I didn't take any extra time off, like on the PCT or anything. Oh, another super chat from Sander. You rock. Thank you. I appreciate it. I try. Let's see. But yeah, aside from that, I wasn't really, didn't really take any extra time off for anything in particular. Just kind of rolled with it. All right, let's see. What do we got now? Somebody says, was the Cush model the Olympus? It was the Olympus. I swapped to the Olympus, and I'll talk about shoes here in a minute because I'm sure some people have some questions about shoes. I've already seen it. I swapped to the Olympus because I wanted a little extra cush, and that shoe just kind of tore my heels up. It's not, I think it's mainly because I hadn't hiked in them in so long, and the heel cup is just different. It's a little more firm and rigid than it was in the Lone Peak, the shoe that I started with and hiked most of the trail with. And I think that just that far in, I was like 200, almost 300 miles in, and then swapping to a completely different shoe with a completely different heel cup. Shame on me. I know not to do that. I typically would never do that on a trail, so that was my bad. And yeah, I definitely regret doing that. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit. Am I louder for everybody? I tried to turn up a little bit. So I saw that somebody said that they're still having a hard time hearing me. Let's see. Someone asked, what was the most grueling mile, mental or physical? I think that probably the most grueling section of the trail for me was as I was coming out of the southern San Juans. So coming into New Mexico, I had a really hard time because I had that sciatic nerve thing going on, and because I was just ready for a break. You know, I still had a while until I got to Grants, which I had planned on taking 6 days off the trail when I got there. And I think that I was just mentally wore out, physically wore out. So that section going through the San Juans, the southern San Juans, right before Pagosa Springs, was just tough. It was mentally tough. It was physically tough. And by the time I got to Grants, which was still quite some time after that, I was definitely ready to take that break. And it was good. It was good to have that little refresher, that little breather for 6 days. It definitely helped me. Throat's getting dry. Definitely helped me enjoy the last 450 miles. So, someone asked me earlier what coffee I was drinking. Some local Flagstaff coffee from a place called Late for the Train. It's their like house blend or something, or the Flagstaff blend. That is what I'm drinking. So, put this over here. All right, what do we got next? No audio from right headphone. Yeah, that has been a common thing. I am sorry about that, guys. I tried. Ooh, I tried. Let me try something real quick. Hold on just a second. Give me just a second. Just a second. All right, let's try that. Let's see if that helps. See if that helps. Anything? Anything? Did it fix anything? I don't think it fixed anything. All right. Well, oh well. I tried, damn it. I tried. I really tried. All right. So if you want, we can move on to. It's funny. Someone just said stop screaming, but other people have said they're having a hard time hearing me. So I don't know who to believe. I think you're all full of crap. All right. What makes the CDT more brutal? That's a good question. I think what makes the CDT brutal, quote unquote brutal, is because of the mental thing. It is just a very mentally tough trail because there's not as many people out there. You're going longer sections without getting into towns. The environment in general is pretty brutal, so the actual treadway itself is a pretty brutal trail. There is a lot of there's a lot of cross-country hiking. So a lot of times, like, there is no actual trail. You're just kind of bushwhacking or going cross-country. So the overall conditions of the trail can be crappy. The weather is, the weather can definitely be pretty tough as far as some of the higher elevations. Like, we got some pretty cold nights in Colorado. Really, overall, like, rain wasn't that bad. Never got snow. One night it got kind of crappy. I just wrote a funny comment, sorry. But aside from that, yeah, it overall, I think just the entire trail is kind of brutal. It's the tread, it's some of the climbs, it's the lack of people, it's the areas that you're going through. It's not like the AT or the PCT where if you go into a town, people know what a thru hiker is. It's not easy to get hitches a lot when you're trying to get into a town. So I think because of that, just everything combined is what kind of makes the trail more brutal than the other two, than the AT and the PCT, in my opinion. Let's see. Someone said, do you have plans to hike some trails in Europe again? We have some beautiful trails here. Yeah. I'm actually planning a trip to Europe right now. Stay tuned, and I'll tell you. Someone said, hey, Darwin, it's guys. Hey, guys, it's Darwin. All right. So I guess we can move on to gear. If you guys have any gear questions, I have a few things here that I can chat about, but if you guys have any specific gear questions, I would love to answer those. Anything really about the gear that I was using. I'm still really trying to figure out this whole why I'm only coming through mono. I still cannot figure that out. I do not know why I'm coming through mono at all. It's very strange, very strange. Let's see. You guys want to throw your questions on there? Give it a second. Let some of these get on there. Said, what water filter did you use? So for most of the hike, I used the Ctdine Be Free filter. I did swap out to the Sawyer Squeeze when I was in Wyoming in the Great Divide Basin. Just because it was a little siltier water, a little crappier water, so I swapped to that and a Knock Vecto bottle. But most of the trail, all through New Mexico, I actually kept the Be Free. So the Be Free was my filter of choice. Years ago, and for a long time, I've kind of always thought that this filter wasn't as good in the desert because of silty water, but I honestly think that it is better in silty water. The more and more I use this, the more I realize that because of the little, all the mesh, all the opening in it, the cartridge is open, it's easier to tap out and to get all the sand and the silt out of it than the Sawyer is. So because of that, this filter worked out great for me. I didn't really have any problems with it. I went through a couple of them, so this is the one that I finished with. I think that I went through 3 of these out on the CDT, so 3 of these cartridges and then 1 Sawyer Squeeze, but again, I only used that for that section, and I'm glad I did. But yeah, the Be Free is what I used for most of the hike. Let's see. Oh, somebody asked, how was the Ultraplex? I got some props here, guys. The Ultraplex tent, the Z-Pax Ultraplex, the tent I've been using for a while now. The Ultraplex was great. I used this every night on the CDT, obviously aside from the nights that I was in town. And yeah, no complaints. The tent worked out great. I screwed up one of my tie-outs, one of my actual cords. I cut it on a rock, and I had to replace that. But aside from that, never leaked on me, no holes in it, never had an issue. No holes in the mesh, no holes in the tarp. or the bathtub. The Z-Pac's Ultraplex worked out phenomenal, and it's still the tent that I use and that I plan on using going forward. I'm actually thinking about getting the tarp version. So they made a version of this that doesn't have the bathtub and doesn't have the netting in it, and I think that's what I'm going to swap to. But yeah, the tent that I used, the Z-Pac's Ultraplex, was great. It was great for everything I needed. Worked in every environment that I was in. Was enough shelter for me for what I needed. Let's see. Someone said, "Did you try the platypus filter?" I did not. Someone said, "You should check out. You should try." I'm good. I'll use what works for me. Let's see. What else do we have? Someone said it's not mono anymore. Is it not? Am I back? Did it fix? This is going to be just an ongoing thing, this entire live cast. Let's see. There's a lot of questions on here. I'm trying to... Someone said stop focusing on audio. Stop telling me what to do. Thanks. I will focus on whatever I would like to focus on, Carla. Thank you, though. Someone said I'll buy your Ultraplex if you switch. No, I'm good. Tent stakes. Someone asked me about tent stakes. Yeah, so I started with the tent stakes that I've been using for years, which are these guys, the Easton Nano aluminum, which are awesome. But I did run into some really crazy hard ground, and I did snap a couple of these finally. You know, these for years have been great. And I got to the point to where I didn't want to snap anymore because these are really hard to get, and I really love these stakes. So I ended up swapping to the MSR Groundhog stake, the stake that is very well loved and used by a lot of people. Funny enough, out of all the years of hiking and all the different tents that I've used and stakes that I've used, I had never actually used the Groundhogs. I'd used like every other stake except for the Groundhog. And I swapped to them just because it was the only thing that was available in this gear shop that I went to. And as you can see, I ended up swapping them all out to Groundhogs. So as far as I'm concerned, as far as my money goes, the Groundhog ended up being a really, really great stake for the entire trail. I didn't break a single one of these. So as far as stakes go, I mean, going forward, these are a little heavier. You know, they're definitely heavier than, like, say, this or a titanium shepherd hook. But I mean, they're tough. They're tough as nails. So I would definitely suggest the MSR Groundhog going forward for any stakes. Somebody said, "Do you want a bigger tent?" No, I don't need a bigger tent. My tent was plenty big for me. Let's see. People keep leaving inappropriate comments, but I have them blocked, so that's not working. Someone said, "Loving the sass today." I always have sass. What are you talking about? I'm full of sass. There was some sass. Let's see. Oh, someone said Groundhog minis or regular. Those are the minis, the Groundhog minis. See, another question. I got so many gear questions in here. I'm trying to find some good ones. Yeah, the sass came from, I cannot stand when people try to tell me what to do, how to make media, what I should say, what I should do, when I'm doing it for free. For your entertainment, for your education, for your whatever you get out of it. So much entitlement, folks. Not everybody, very small percentage, so. Hike to Change said, "Never tell an audiophile he's only coming through mono." Exactly, that's why I keep screwing with it. Someone said, "How was the bidet?" Great, I've been using a backpacking bidet now for 2 years, going on 3 years. Bidet was great. I used a backpacking bidet the entire trail, a trowel, a Deuce of Spades trowel, I don't have it with me, and my little backpacking bidet, and it worked out great for the entire trail. I don't wish I had anything else. Let's see what else we got. If you're just joining us, we are talking about gear. So if you have a question about gear, specific gear that I used on the CDT, stuff I liked, stuff I didn't like, things that worked out, certain questions, feel free to ask them. I'm kind of going through all of these questions over here. There's a lot. Someone said 40 degrees, not about the CDT, but is a 40-degree sleeping bag enough for the AT? I mean, it depends on you, and it depends on when you start. You know, the thing about sleeping pads, the thing about sleeping bags or quilts, the thing about shoes, it's all personal preference, right? It all depends on the individual. I am able to hike an entire trail like the CDT through multiple different environments and multiple different temps with a 20-degree quilt, a summer pad. I use the Uberlight the entire trail, which has a very, very low R value, and a 35-liter pack, because my comfort levels can deal with that. I'm a warm sleeper, and I don't need a lot to make me comfortable on the trail. So it really depends. So as far as can you hike the AT with the 40-degree sleeping bag? Depends on if you're comfortable with a 40-degree sleeping bag. I really can't answer that. Can't answer questions like that. It's really tough. It's all opinion based. It's all subjective, right? Somebody said, what kind of knife, if any, do you carry? I do carry a knife. I carry a little bitty Swiss Army knife mini. You can check that out on my gear list. I think I've left some links down below this video of my CDT gear list if you want to see my entire gear list of everything that I carried on the CDT, everything that I started with, because I did swap some things out. You can go check that out. But yeah, just a little bitty blade is all I've ever needed. Let's see, what else do we got here? Somebody asked, what headphones on trail? So I used the Skull Candy cheap, I think they're like Skull Candy inked headphones, the corded headphones. Typically I would, on a smaller trail, I would carry my my AirPods, but on the CDT, I didn't, you know, being out there that long, I wanted something that if they did break, if I did tear them up, which I did, I broke a pair. I just wanted to be able to replace that were really cheap. I think they're like $15 or $20. So I used some really cheap Skull Candy headphones. He's making himself a juicy target for trolls. Okay. Guess who's getting blocked? Also, if you're a person that wants to leave a crappy comment, I'll just block you. So, just letting you know. I stopped dealing with that a long time ago. What pad did you use? I used the Thermarest Uberlight, which is a very thin pad, very light pad. It's considered a summer pad, but again, I'm a very warm sleeper, so I was good in it. I think the coldest night that we got was at like 15 degrees. 15 degrees at higher elevation with a 20-degree quilt, with a sleeping pad that I think has like an R2 value, R2.5, 3, something like that. And I was fine on it. That being said, you might be a cold sleeper and it might not work for you, but yeah, I did use the Uberlight pad. Did you use a satellite messenger or carry one? I did not. I do own Garmin's and inReaches, and I've never owned a Spot, but I do own GPS communication devices. I have never used one on a through hike. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm saying that I personally have never used one on a hike, and the CDT was no different. Let's see. Someone said, I just can't try a bidet. Right on. Works for me. Any new tattoos? Nope, not yet. Same ink that I've had. Somebody asked, how is the Sun Hoodie? Very interested in that. It's going slow. So as some of you might know, I started developing a Sun Hoodie, a hiking top. I started the CDT with one, hiked with one for the first 100, 200 miles, had some problems with it, wasn't exactly the right cut, wanted to change a few features with it, wasn't exactly the right material that I wanted. So we tried with a different material. It took a really long time because of all the supply chain issues. The material that we really want to use, I had a hard time getting it. So I didn't get a chance to get another one until I got into Colorado. By the time I got that one, the cut was funky on it. Again, it was the wrong material, so we decided to wait until I got off of the trail. So I am currently back to working on the Sun Hoodie, and I'm sure I'll have some updates on here sometime in the not too distant future. So yeah, slow process. Someone said socks. Yes, those are a thing. The socks that I used were the Darn Tough, low cut, merino wool, ultra light socks or something. You can see them over on my gear list, I'm sure. But yeah, they worked out great for me. Very comfortable. All that I needed. Kept my feet warm enough. Someone asked general starting time each morning. So on the CDT, it really depended. You know, in the beginning, it was still getting dark pretty late because I started in July. And I was getting up pretty early in the morning, about 5 a.m., starting to hike by 6. And there towards the end, it was getting dark really early. So I'm a person that likes to hike pretty late. So by the time I was getting into camp, it was dark. And in the morning, it was cold and the sun wasn't out yet. So it was really hard to get up. So some mornings I was kind of getting up around 6, starting to hike at 7. Typically, though, on trail, I like getting up pretty early and getting a full day in. So, yeah, typically pretty early. Someone asked, how was your knock trekking poles? They were good. So I ended up, well, I thought, oh, here they are. So I ended up starting with the knock trekking pole that I've had for years, the one that I helped prototype. It was excellent. As soon as I started getting down the trail, I ended up swapping and getting a second one. So I ended up hiking most of the trail with 2 trekking poles. First time in years that I've done that. My knees aren't the best that they used to be. I'm close to 11,000 miles hiked in the last 6 years. And my knees have definitely taken a beating from that, especially because of my past history of racing triathlon, a lot of running and cycling. So my knees aren't great. So I did get a second trekking pole, and then right towards the end, I was going through the Gila wilderness, down the Gila River, all the river crossings, and I actually snapped my trekking pole. This is the prototype. So the new one that I bought was fine. It lasted the entire trail, but my original prototype, I don't know what that is, it did snap on me. And then I fixed it. When I was in Silver City, I got a piece of wooden dowel. I put some JB Weld in there and JB welded it back together so it lasted to the end of the trail. And then I snapped it at the end of the trail because I knew that it was worthless. So I did that after fixing it. But overall, the knock trekking poles were great. They held up excellent. I really love this pole. It's a little heavier than other trekking poles, but they are built like brick shit houses. You know, the only reason this snapped was because this is an early prototype. I have had a lot of miles on this. So, you know, and it went down in between 2 rocks. So I stuck it down in between 2 rocks and I fell forward on the trekking pole. It tripped me up and it just like, it was caught and it just snapped right in half. So it was user error of why it snapped. It wasn't because of Knock's fault or anything. Plus, they asked me to send this prototype back a long time ago, and I decided to keep it. They wanted to swap it out for a production model, but I kept the prototype, and that's what happens whenever you keep a prototype. Eventually they break, because apparently they have issues. But yeah, the Knock trekking pole was great. I highly suggest them. Got a super chat from Camper Geek. Howdy, Camper Geek. Says, Sherlock here, Sobo on the AT right now, watching from a shelter in New Jersey. Right on. Any significant gear failures? Did you repair or replace? No, I didn't really have any hardcore gear failures. Like I said, there was the trekking pole that snapped on me. I went to the Olympus, the Ultra Olympus, when I was in Montana, and that gave me some bad heel blisters. I snapped a couple stakes. But overall, I'd say that I didn't really have any gear failures at all. I think that all of my gear held up pretty well. I'm trying to like rack my brain right now and think of anything that was bad. No gear failures. I like snagged a couple small holes in my pack and stuff like that that I had to stitch up. But no failures. Pretty happy with everything. Everything really did work out very well. Thank you for the super chat, and good luck on finishing your hike. New Jersey was tough for sure. I remember that. Let's see, what else do we have here? So many questions. Just saying, if you want to get your question in front of me over any of them, the super chats get it up there quicker. Got to be that guy, you know. Someone just said your phone. My phone. I agree. My phone. My phone. Let's see. I saw a really interesting question on here that I wanted to answer, but it disappeared. Oh, this is a funny question. Do you ever think that you'll ever write a book? You are a modern day Colin Fletcher. No, I will not write a book. I've made close to 400 videos on YouTube. I shot a documentary film in 2019 that you can find on Amazon. I have 15 episodes and still more to come of a podcast. I think that I've written my book. Just in a different form of media. You know, instead of writing it down, I have made it into a lot of other things. There is a lot of media and story that I've put out there over 6 years. So no, I don't think that I could see myself writing a book. Here we go. How many pairs of shoes did you go through? I believe that it was either 6 or 7. So I started with the Ultra Lone Peak 5, which is a great shoe. The only problem that I had with the shoe is they ended up wearing out around the 450 mark for me, about 450 miles. The heels would start to blow out in them. They started flattening out really quick, and I'm a heel striker pretty bad, so I was blowing them out. That being said, I know people that were putting 800 miles on those shoes and weren't having the heels. I think, again, it's all subjective, right? I'm really hard on the heels on my shoes, so that's why they were blowing out. And then I swapped to the Olympus, got rid of it only after 90 miles, went back to the Lone Peak, and then I rocked the Lone Peak all the way until Grants, New Mexico. When I got off the trail, I went to the Ultra Temp, the Temp 3. I had made a previous video where I had picked up a pair of the Temp 3 and they delaminated really bad on me, the black ones. I met 2 different hikers that I was hiking around that were getting 800 miles out of these shoes. And after 800 miles, they still looked great, brand new. There was no tear, they weren't delaminating. And it was the orange and gray pair. I was like, you know what? Just for shits and giggles, I will go to the Temp 3. I'll try an orange and gray pair and I'll see what they do. And they lasted. They never delaminated on me. This isn't them, I threw them away. But I did actually wear a hole out in the heel. I wish I still had them here to show you. But I could literally stick my finger through the heel of the shoe after 450 miles. But again, I'm really hard on shoes, and I don't know anybody else that did that. So I know multiple people that used the Temp 3 on the trail and did not wear through them. But apparently I have a bad heel striking problem because I wear shoes out really bad in the heel. But yeah, I finished with the Temp 3. And I think overall, I probably shoes total, and that includes the Olympus, it was about 6 or 7 pairs. So, let's see. Someone asked, did you carry bear spray? I did carry bear spray. I carried bear spray for 1,300 miles. Never used it once. Never saw a grizzly bear. Never even saw a black bear on the entire CDT. But yes, I did carry it while I was in grizzly country. But then I got rid of it 1,300 miles in. So if you see my photos or eventually watch my videos, you'll see it kind of stuck right here in my, or right here in my shoulder pouch. Let's see. Oh, here's a super chat. Still using the Canon M6? Yes, I am. Any camera gear changes in the future? Has the PD2K been enough juice for all the charging? Yeah, so I used the Canon M6 for the entire CDT. Honestly, I wish that I had my R. I wish I had my bigger camera. But I went with a smaller camera, dry throat. Smaller camera, so I could keep it up here in my shoulder pouch, so I could whip it out quicker. But I do wish that I had my bigger camera, full frame lens, full frame camera, so I didn't miss that. That being said, the Canon M6 worked out great. It took really good photos, and it's a good weight, right? It's a good camera for its size and its weight. Any gear changes in the future? Yeah, I'd probably go back to carrying my bigger body camera, just because I personally like the image out of it better. And I like having a big camera. I like having an EVF, so this doesn't have an EVF, because I shoot a lot with the EVF to get those nice smooth panning shots. With this, I just kind of had to use the screen. So I do wish that I had my bigger camera, and going forward, I'll probably use that. Thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, did the PD2K was enough juice for all the charging? Yes. My my charger that I used, anybody that wants to see my gear list, you can check it out in the link below. It was more than enough for the trail. Thank you so much for the super chat. Got another super chat. Did your diet change at all from this trail from your previous hikes? Was there anything new you tried and would recommend? Yeah, pretty much my diet always stays the same on trail. I eat a lot of couscous. I eat a lot of tuna. If I'm eating a bar, protein bars and stuff, I try to go for pretty high calories, high fat, high protein, low carbs, low sugar. Ate a lot of nuts, ate a lot of nut butter. Over the last couple years, I've tried to get more fat in my diet on trail than carbs. For a long time, I ate a lot, just like a lot of thru-hikers, it was a lot of Pop-Tarts and snack cakes and candy, and we eat horribly out on trail. The last couple years has been more about high fat for me, because fat burns slower for me anyways. I get more energy when I'm eating a high fat diet, so a lot of like macadamia nuts and stuff. So that's mainly what I try to focus on, and that's what I would recommend. But again, just like shoes, just like sleeping bags, it's all subjective, right? It all depends on the individual, what type of food works for you, what you want. That's another big thing out on the trail. You should eat what you want to eat, because whenever you're kind of neglecting yourself of a lot of other comforts, it's nice to have food that you actually like to eat. So I try to buy bars and stuff like that I actually enjoy eating versus stuff that I don't like eating. So, a lot of times people will see the food that I select and be like, that's too expensive. Well, when I'm out there and I'm neglecting myself of daily comforts, I like having some nicer food, stuff that I feel better about eating. So that's worth it to me. Wow, a big old super chat from the Blazing Wing. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. Thanks. That definitely helps. Helps keep me making media and going. For everyone that has donated in the super chat, thank you very much. It definitely helps me continue to produce content here on YouTube. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Let's see. Let's see what else we got. What the best sleep gear? What's the best sleep gear? Again, it's all subjective. It all depends on you. I sleep very warm on the trail. I am able to use a 20-degree quilt and a pad that has a very low R value at higher elevations at cold temps because I sleep very warm. That being said, my feet get cold very easily, so I use thermal booties, sleep socks, to make sure that my feet are warm, and that helps. The rest of me doesn't need to be that warm. My feet need to be super warm, and it's all subjective. It really all depends on the person. Got another super chat from Orthodox Hiker. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Someone asked, have I ever tried something like Soylent on the trail? I have. A buddy of mine geared up that actually started the CDT with me. He's a big Soylent eater. He used to buy the powder, the bag of powder, and only eat that. I think that stuff is awful. Yeah, doesn't work for me. Gross. Let's see. Do you wear your eyeglasses on trail? Yes, actually my glasses right now are very scratched up, and I need to get my lenses replaced because they're so scratched up. So, I do. I don't do anything special. I don't use contacts. People ask me about my glasses all the time. If I use something for fogging, for this, for that. No, I just wear my glasses like I'm wearing them right now, the same glasses. And yeah. Don't do anything special. Let's see. Someone asked a good question. How is Snuggles nowadays? This is a great question because this is a great segue into kind of the last section that I want to talk about in this Q&A. And I can still answer a couple gear questions, but how is Snuggles? For some of you that don't know, Snuggles is my wife, also known as Jess. Jess is doing good. So, one of the mental health things that I wanted to talk about on the Q&A is, for me, getting off the trail and not doing YouTube videos, taking this massive break, not doing videos while I was out on trail. For 6 years, I have spent a ton of time, a ton of time. I think some people don't realize how much work goes into producing media on like YouTube, especially if you're somebody that's putting out multiple videos a week. There's some YouTube channels that put out like 3, 4, 5 videos a week. And I used to put out 3 videos. If anybody remembers those days, I used to put out a video on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Then I went to Tuesday, Thursday, then I went to Thursday, and now sometimes I go a long time without putting out a video. You spend a lot of time doing that, and you tend to neglect other things in life, friends, family, loved ones, other things, other interests, because you become so all consumed in the thing that you're doing, making videos, making media. So for me, when I got off the CDT, the reason that I haven't jumped into my videos, the reason that I'm not putting out content like I used to, is I needed a break for my mental health. The last couple years, having the YouTube channel and having the podcast and making, it becoming a job, right? Like YouTube has become, it had become a job. It's not anymore, but it had become a job where that's what I was using to sustain my lifestyle. It gets to the point with doing that and then owning a media company, working on documentary films, because, a lot of people know me for the YouTube channel, but don't realize all the other things that I do. I think most people would be surprised if you knew all of the other aspects of the media that I create. I own a website and a media company called Outdoor Evolution, but I also have a separate production company called OE Media, where I, along with some people on my staff, create and produce media and films and photos for other companies and other people. So along with that, and then trying to balance somewhat of a normal life, back when I was traveling full time, you neglect a lot of things in life because you're constantly working. So when I got off the CDT, and now I've decided to really take a step back for my mental health, so I could spend more time with my wife, so I could spend more time on these passion projects and other things that fulfill me, that I love to do, right? The podcast that I've been doing now for a while, up to 15 episodes, while I'm so excited about that, why I talk about that, why I'm so jacked about it, is because it's another passion of mine. I love talking about deep topics and deep issues and things that matter to me. And, you know, shooting documentary films and working on all that. So this last year, and why I didn't put out videos on the CDT, and why I rarely ever put videos out on YouTube anymore, is for my mental health. So in you know, answering the question, how is Snuggles, she's doing good. She's doing good. You know, she decided a long time ago for her mental health not to, you know, to kind of separate herself from YouTube and everything that we are doing, to have her own separate life, and that's what I'm doing as well. Thank you for the super chat. Zelena, I think Zelena is the name. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But yeah, if that makes any sense. I've had somebody that consistently keeps asking me, how's van life? I haven't lived in a van since 2019. So hence where I'm at. I spend a lot of time in my van traveling around, doing different projects, media gigs and stuff like that. I just got back from a weekend in New Mexico where I lived van life for a few days. But I do have a normal life. I have an apartment here in Flagstaff. I have a studio and office. I do own and run a business. So if you're wondering, if you think that I still live in a van full time, it's probably because of YouTube, because you were probably just recently watching a video that I made like 4 years ago. To you, it's new. To me, it's 4 years old. It's something really funny that I've noticed on YouTube is like I'll say something and someone will be like, well, you just said this, or you just did this. And I'll be like, well, no, I did that 4 years ago. You're just now seeing that. So I do not live in a van full time anymore. I haven't lived in a van full time since August of 2019. But my van is doing good. I still do spend quite a bit of time in my van, and do love part-time van life when I get a chance to do it. So yeah, that's how van life is. Let's see. Someone says the podcast is awesome. Thank you very much. For anyone that hasn't checked out the podcast, I'd highly suggest it. It's free. It's not like you have to pay for it. I talk a lot more about deeper issues and topics, but if you're just here to hear me ramble about gear and stuff that doesn't really mean much in the long run because it's all subjective, I get it. But if you like some deeper conversation and actually want to hear my thoughts as a human being on things, check out my podcast. Thank you for saying that the podcast is awesome. I appreciate that. Someone said, break, you were on trail for 4 months. You have clearly never done a through hike. Oh, I see what you're saying, that I took a break. I meant a break from creating media. I thought you meant like that I was taking a break for 4 months. No. Yeah, just taking a break from creating media. That being said, I was still making media. I did a weekly vlog from the trail, a weekly podcast that is all over on my Patreon. I made that exclusive, a Patreon exclusive. I did a weekly podcast from the CDT. It's a video and audio, or it's just video, a video podcast that I did from the trail. Anyone that's interested in that, I won't spend a bunch of time plugging it because I know people get all upset about that. There's a link down below. You can go check that out. Let's see. Someone said, you pay taxes? I do pay taxes. I bet you I pay more taxes than most people because I own a business. Someone said, Darwin, flashlight or headlamp? I use a headlamp. Used to use a little flashlight for a while, but I like the headlamp that I've been using. Been using the Nightcore NU25. Again, there's a link down below. You can find my CDT gearless video, and there is I talk about it in that, and there's a link to it. Someone said, thank you, sir. You inspired me to get outside. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's all I've ever tried to do, is just inspire people to go do things and live a better life and to give back and to care about things. So thank you. I appreciate that. That's the highest compliment someone can give me. Robert says, no sound in right channel. Robert, you're late to the party, brother. Umbrella or just a rain jacket? So I used the Enlightened Equipment Visp for the trail, and that's what I use most of the time. I would never use an umbrella for rain, but I did pick up a Z-Pax Lotus umbrella that I used for the Great Divide Basin for the sun and the exposure. First time in a long time, actually first time since the beginning of the PCT, I picked up an umbrella, but I don't usually use one for rain. Rain jacket usually does me just fine. I'm okay with just getting wet. Let's see. What else do we got? Someone said so true about the business taxes. Ugh. Yeah. Someone said nice hat. Thank you. If you are interested in one of these Outdoor Evolution hats, you can go over to theoutdoorevolution.com and we sell these. We have these hats for sale, which is why I always have one on, because I have like an unlimited supply of them. But yeah. Someone said, do you ever eat native plants along the trail? Nope. Every once in a while I might eat like a ramp or maybe like chicken of the woods mushroom, like a fungus, but not really. Thru-hikes beat working. Not necessarily true. What else do we have? Let's see. Any random questions that you guys have? It doesn't have to be about gear. It doesn't have to be about mental health. I did want to touch on that, though. You know, I've gotten that a lot from people lately. And I think that mental health is very important. I think that if you are a creator, if you're someone that's sharing your life on social media, hell, even if you're a person that's consuming social media, because a lot of people spend a lot of time just doing this. And that's what I didn't want to do on the CDT. I wanted to be more present. I wanted to be on the trail and have that experience, regardless of what that experience was. It's very important, I think, to take care of your mental health. Step back off of this, and, you know, live in the moment. I think that there's a lot of us that aren't living in the moment anymore because we're so connected into social media and this strange alternate reality that we're all living on here. So yeah, mental health, very important. It's been very important for me and something I've tried to be aware of in the last year, especially the last 6 months. Ever tried Alpha Fleece? I have not. I'd like to, though. Let's see. Someone said, still loving my Outdoor Evolution beanie. We got more of those coming at the end of this month or next month. Keep an eye out for that. We'll be releasing some of those. Doing another small run of those. Let's see. Someone said, can we see the rest of your studio? I have a tour, not to plug it again, but I'm not going to sit here and do it real quick because I got the camera all set up. I did do a tour of the studio, Outdoor Evolution, all of our offices. Again, I share all that type of stuff, behind the scenes stuff, over on Patreon. I don't like to put that stuff here on YouTube because generally people aren't interested in that. If anything, that has taught me that over the years, that talking about anything except for through hiking and gear, people don't care about on this channel. So I keep all that stuff for Patreon and other outlets that I have, like Outdoor Evolution, the podcast. So I do a full tour if you do want to check that out and you do support me on Patreon. Hike to Change with the super chat, thank you so much, says, what do you do when you need a mental break? Meditate, disc golf, go to the movies, etc. For me, it's really riding my bike, disc golf, I've actually gotten into quite a bit lately, and just creating, you know, working on these film projects, working on these other things, like the podcast is a great break for me, a great mental break. And yeah, I do meditate sometimes. I try to meditate as much as I can out on the trail. CDT, I wasn't so successful as I have been in years past of doing that on trails, but just about anything, right? Anything that you're kind of obsessed with at that time, whether it's making YouTube videos or editing a film or, you know, scrolling Instagram and stuff like that. I try to really do something that's completely different, which is why I've taken that big mental break from hiking, because after almost 4 months of doing the CDT and it being a very tough trail for me mentally, I just needed to take a big mental break from anything hiking, which is why I have not been editing videos, which is why I've not been getting out on trail. I've been trying to do anything. I kind of started a goofy hashtag anything but hiking has been kind of my motto lately. So that is what I've been trying to focus on more than anything, to take a mental break. How many calories do you burn on trail? They say that the average through hiker in a 20-mile day burns anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 calories a day. I would assume that I'm somewhere in there. Depends on the day. Have you played disc golf with Jupiter? Yep. Jupiter actually used to live here as well. He just moved, and Jupiter and I were getting out and playing some disc golf. He actually got me into disc golf, so yes, and I miss him. Jupe, if you're watching this, I want to go play some more disc golf with you, so come back to Flagstaff. Let's see. I guess someone's asking about the bidet. Again, if you go check out my gear list, it's down below. You can find a link to the bidet that I use. That's a funny question. You can go find a link to the bidet that I use if you're interested in using one of those. I highly suggest it. Let's see. Getting close to about an hour and a half here, so I'm not going to be on here much longer, guys. How do you deal with thunderstorms? You just kind of deal with them. Depends on how gnarly they are. A lot of times I'll just sit under, if I'm like at higher elevation and a thunderstorm starts, I'll kind of sit next to a tree and under a tree, or I'll come down from elevation. Yeah, I try not to screw with thunderstorms and lightning. That being said, knock on wood, I haven't had any bad luck with that over the years. So, I'm trying to think of a couple really good questions that are to kind of take us to the finish line here. Gotta run, keep on trucking. Thanks for stopping by, David. Thanks for hanging out, man. Here's an interesting question that I definitely want to answer. Two-Ply Guy, which is a great handle, great name, said, did you rush through the CDT because you have other obligations? No. Do I have other obligations? Yes. Did I rush through the CDT? No. I hiked it at the pace I wanted to hike. Something that people need to realize and need to understand is everybody hikes different ways for different reasons. Everybody gets something different out of what they do. I don't through hike to go out and quote unquote smell the roses. I can go for a weekend backpacking trip to do that. I can get in my van and I can go to a national park and I can hike around a national park and get that. I can go out for a 2-day trip with friends. I through hike, especially something like the CDT, where it's a long hike for the challenge. So the whole reason I'm out there is to hike from point A to point B. It's not to spend my time smelling the roses. It's not to hang out in towns. It's not to party. It's not to do any of that. It is for the challenge. Same reason why would you want to run a marathon? What's the point of running a marathon? It's to finish the marathon, right? You can go for a 3-mile run around the block. You can go do a 5K, and that's fun and it's quick and it's for fun. But whenever you do a marathon, the whole point of finishing a marathon is to finish it. It's for the goal. It's for the challenge of doing a marathon or a triathlon, an Ironman. I raced triathlon for 8 years, and the reason I raced was for the challenge. Can I do this thing? So doing the CDT, I did not rush, in my opinion, what I went out there for. I did not rush the CDT. 110 days was perfect for me. I wanted to do the CDT in sub 4 months, and I did it in sub 4 months. I did it right under 4 months, and that's exactly what I wanted out of it. That's what I wanted on the PCT, but I got injured early on in the PCT, and that put me back a little bit, and it was just over 4 months. But I wanted to do the PCT in just under 4 months, and I didn't get that out there. So in answer to your question, I did not rush it. I hiked it the way I wanted to hike it because, I mean, that's what I wanted, right? Some people go out there and their whole goal is to be the last person to finish, and that's their goal, right? So that's what they go after. I went after trying to hike it under 4 months. So, yeah, I did not rush it because of any reasons, because I don't think that I rushed it, in my opinion, what my goals were. But did I have other obligations? Yeah, I own a company. I'm working on a film project that I've been working on for the last year. So yeah, I have a lot of other obligations. That's a whole different story. But yeah, that's not why I hiked it in the time that I hiked it. I hiked it in the time that I hiked it because that was my goal. So hopefully that makes sense. Someone said your average daily mileage on the CDT, somewhere between 25 and 30 miles. Most days I was doing close to 30 miles. It was kind of a goal there for a while to do a 30 almost every day. There were some days that I hiked over 30 miles. And the biggest day that I did on the CDT was a 58-mile day. Did that coming into Rawlins, Wyoming. So through the Great Divide Basin. It was very flat, very easy to do that. We hiked all day, finished at 2 a.m. Yeah. Let's see. Someone said, are you thinking of doing more fast packing / FKT like things? No, not really. I kind of had a little bit of a stab at that. And it's not really for me. My body can't really handle that anymore. Again, I raced triathlon for 8 years, a lot of running on pavement. And then I've been through hiking for the past 6 years. I've hiked over or close to 11,000 miles in the past 6 years, on top of 8 years of racing a lot of triathlon. So I am aging my body pretty quickly. So as far as running a trail, I just don't think it's not in the cards for me. That's what I went out to do at the beginning of this year with the Benton MacKay Trail. Didn't work out. I injured myself. So no plans on doing that in the future. Let's see. Oh, someone says, I am currently watching your backpacking education series. What a great program. The cost is great, and I think more people should watch it. Thanks. Thank you. So for some of you that don't know, Outdoor Revolution, we started doing courses. So while I was on the CDT, we actually launched our first course called How to Backpack. So for anybody that's just getting into backpacking and wants basically one course that gives you all the specifics on setting up camp, cooking, how to hang your food, choosing the right gear, trip planning, routing, all of that. We put together this one package course, and then we are actually producing more of those. So we're going to be doing one on bike packing. We're also going to be doing, if anyone's familiar with what master class is, these are master classes. So they're not just YouTube videos. It is a full-on course. We launched that a few months ago. And like I said, we're working on more of them. We're also going to be doing one on media creation. So as far as filmmaking and editing. If you want to check those out, you can go to theoutdoorevolution.com. You'll see a little tab that says courses, click it. Or you can go to learnhowtobackpack.com and you can find that course. Really easy. We gave it a very simple name. So, but yeah, go check that out. And I'm pretty sure there's a link down below to Outdoor Revolution. But thank you. Appreciate it. Someone said, is Snuggles going to join you on any adventures? No, not really. Not really anything coming up. No, we're just really spending a lot of time hanging out together and doing things that aren't hiking, that aren't backpacking, that aren't bike packing. We're just really spending time doing other things. Like I said, I don't just hike and make YouTube videos. I have a lot of other things. I have a lot of other interest, and we've been spending a lot of time on those other interests versus the thing that I've been doing just nonstop for 6 years. So part of that mental health I was talking about. Somebody says, I love that you're real and not trying to impress anybody. Yeah, the only person I'm ever trying to impress is me. But thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. That's pretty high compliment. Thank you. That's all I'm ever trying to be is real and give real information to people and not be bought off by people and not be fake and not talk about things that I have no frame of reference on. There's so much of that in the world, especially on social media, especially on YouTube. So saturated with so much misinformation. And yeah, I just try to be as real as I possibly can. Someone said, wait, you don't just hike? Is Outdoor Evolution in need of an employee? So we have a few employees. They're actually in the other room, and they're probably listening to this right now. So I don't know, you might be able to take their job. Let's see. Guys, there's some people hunting for your jobs right now. They're in the other room, so. Someone says, thoughts on post-hike depression. We literally just dropped a podcast episode on Monday about that. Go check out the Outdoor Revolution podcast. Episode number 15 is called Post-Adventure Blues, and it's all about that. So it's funny, I get a lot of questions from people on YouTube and on my other social media channels about other things that I'm doing. I'll promote those things on YouTube, and people will be like, stop promoting your other things. I'm here to watch YouTube videos. That's why I promote other things, because there are people that have interest in that. So if you do want to hear a full discussion about post-adventure blues or post-hike depression or any of that, a good friend and fellow CDT Thru-Hiker that hiked at Northbound this year, we crossed right in Yellowstone. We sat down and had a whole conversation about post-hike depression between the different trails and over the years, and kind of our varying, I guess, how we both experienced the CDT and kind of getting over that, and some of the ways to combat post-hike depression, post-trail depression, whatever you want to call it, because it is a very real thing and a lot of hikers go through it. Anyone that's ever traveled for a long time or been away from society, people in the military go through the same thing. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, go check that out. It's episode 15. We just dropped it on Monday. It's all about post-hike depression. Let's see. Someone said, other interest, do tell. That is funny to me, and reasons you won't even understand. Let's see. Someone said, ooh, favorite post-rock band. Yeah, now we're just getting into random questions. My favorite post-rock band is Sigur Rós. Again, not to plug it, but screw it, I'll plug it. Every week I do a weekly podcast called The First Cup. It's over on Patreon. And at the end of every episode, I usually give music recommendations. I bring in some records because I'm a big vinyl geek, collect a lot of vinyl. So they're asking what other things that I'm into. I'm a big music person. And every week I do go over some music and talk about some music recommendations, some of my favorite albums, so you can check that out as well. Someone said hashtag Waymark sucks. I didn't say that, by the way. I'm reading a comment. They don't suck. They make great packs. Isn't your trail name supposed to be Darwin on the trial? Nope, my trail name is Darwin. I don't know what trial means. Strange. People ask the weirdest questions. Have you done any pack rafting? Not yet, but it's something I really want to do in this next year. I'm going to be doing a lot of different types of adventuring and trips that have nothing to do with thru hiking. So a lot of that I'm really going to start digging into this next year. Started a little bit last year, even about to buy a hot tent. Talking about new gear coming up. I'm about to buy a hot tent and wood fire stove and everything, and really want to get into some winter snowshoeing and cross-country skiing and doing overnights with it. So that's kind of my new interest that's coming up. But yeah, I would love to get into pack rafting. Ooh, someone said best place to grab a slice and a beer in Flagstaff. So I think the best place to grab a beer in Flagstaff is Historic Brewing Company on San Francisco. That's my favorite brewery. And as far as a slice of pizza, I think the best pizza in town is probably Pizza Patio. I don't think they do slices though. I think you have to buy a whole pizza, but totally worth it. Their pizza is amazing. Graham said he's going to say historic. Damn straight I'm going to say historic. It's amazing. Caspian is my favorite. Nice. Huge record collector myself. You should check out my weekly podcast. I go over a lot of records. I'm a big old record geek. Someone said, you've mentioned being in a band before. Do you still play at all? I do. I do still play. My guitar and pedals and amp are in the other room in the office. It's what I do if I'm like hardcore in an edit, if I'm editing a video or a film or a podcast and I just need a mental break because your brain just gets bogged down from doing the same thing, I'll just go pick up my guitar. I'll stop creating this type of media and I'll just pick up my guitar and start playing music. That's a big mental break for me and a big mental release for sure. All right, guys. I think that I answered all the questions that I could possibly answer. We'll see. Everybody wants to throw their question in real quick. I'll give one more. I'll answer one more question, and that's it. But we'll see. We'll get one question to kind of ride out on. And I'll let you guys go back to your life, and I'll go back to mine. And yeah. Let's see. Don't like that. Don't like that. That I've been asked that a million times. That probably not. That, nah, I've answered that a bunch. I've avoided that for years. That question literally makes no sense. There's so many wacky ass questions on here. I'll go with this one. Here's a good one. Alex gets the last question of the day. When will we see you next? Well, the next thing I plan to do is put out a CDT video. When that will be, probably in the next couple weeks. I'm really busy right now on a lot of different projects. I have an entire shoot that I'm doing next week here in Flagstaff, so I'll be sucked up the entire week. This weekend, I'm gonna go ride my bike. So the next time you'll probably see me on YouTube is in a CDT video. But like I said, we do a podcast every other week. I do a weekly podcast over on Patreon, so you can see me every single week if you want. And yeah, that's probably the next time you're going to see me. If you're just talking about YouTube, will be in a couple weeks here on YouTube with my CDT videos. All right, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming to hang out with me. It's been a while. Been a while since I've really been on here and spent some time. It was fun. We went an hour and almost 45 minutes, so we're probably going to cut it off right at the hour and 45 minute mark. Guys, I really appreciate, again, hanging on, being interested in what I have going on. If you've been listening to the podcast, thank you so much. If you haven't, go check out the Outdoor Evolution podcast. You can find it anywhere where you get your podcast at. If you want to get more content from me, like a weekly podcast, behind the scenes stuff, bonus videos, an entire weekly vlog from the CDT, go check me out on Patreon. Support me in the Outdoor Evolution through Patreon. Follow me on Instagram. What else can I plug? I'm going to plug anything. I just plug everything, folks. This is my shill time. So yeah, go follow me on Patreon. Support me on Patreon. I put a ton of content over there. A ton. Currently working on a film project called Public. It's an 8-episode series that should be premiering in the next month or two. If you want to see some behind the scenes on that, you can check that out on Patreon. And guys, I'll see you later. Love you guys. Take care of each other. Get outside. Do something fun. Take a mental break from social media, because this is all silly stuff anyways, and it's all subjective. And we'll see you soon. Bye.